Hello, I'm Kirsty Young, and just before you listen to Flintoff, Savage and the Ping Pong Guy, I wanted to point you in the direction of the Desert Island Discs podcast, which this week features Freddie's good mate Jack Whitehall. Find out what music Jack could take away with him by subscribing to Desert Island Discs wherever you normally get your podcasts from. Now, over to you, Freddie.
Three, that's a magic number. It is. It's the magic number.
What does it all mean?
Hello and welcome to Flintoff, Savage and the Ping Pong Guy. That's me, Matthew Syed. More meaty topics. First up, we're going to discuss holding our nerve. Then the times we've been wronged. Remember, you can use the hashtag FredSavSide to suggest future topics. Apologies for our short 2020-style podcast on the phone last week. That won't happen again, I don't think. Oh. I say looking around the studio. But let's talk about what we typically talk about at this point. What we've been up to over the previous week. Rob, why are you nodding at Fred? You want him to start?
He's been on a boat.
Yeah,
It's 2 weeks, really, isn't it?
What did you have on your feet? Were they Birkenstocks?
I'm sorry, Rob. I will take it from some people.
Feet?
Anybody who's going to watch this video on Twitter, you've come in your wife's jacket. You've got some sort of, I don't know what it is, rug underneath with a zip on, a hat. You look like Billy Boswell off Bread. Remember Bread? You gotta get up, you gotta get up. Grab the world by the throat and shout.
So your singing's improved.
Sell it. Oh, look at Billy Boswell.
He's had a few singers.
He's on to something there, though. There is a bread connotation there with your face.
Billy Boswell.
Why are you both? Hang on, let's make something clear. Why are you
I was
both
like
being
little Billy. I'm not Billy Boswell.
He's had singing lessons. He's got a new coach, and his fat friend's a musical. He's trying to sing a bit better.
You've been taught well, haven't you?
Do you know what?
A new array of vocal pitches.
Well, I've had a busy couple of weeks, really, because I missed last week. Week before, I did a corporate in Abu Dhabi.
On the beach?
Oh, it was not...
the golf club?
The golf one with Abu Dhabi. And I felt really bad because I did it. I spent 3 days with Tim Henman.
What?
Yeah.
And you had a pop at him at one of the...
On the Monday on the podcast, I was saying, Henman Hill never won it. So I was in Abu Dhabi going around the course, and the number of people... I don't realise listen to this podcast. They're going, love the podcast. And then people are shouting, surprised you stood next to him, Tim.
Really?
and Henman heard it.
No, luckily not. But you know what? I had a chat with him. And you know my thoughts on tennis. And I'm going to give it a go. Because I was chatting to him. And we're talking about him not winning Wimbledon. Mm-hmm. But he told me about his career. Yep. And I thought it was a posh lad who got given a tennis racket and given everything. It couldn't be further from the truth.
Really?
16 years age, they told him to give it up. You're rubbish. Do something else. Uh-huh. He went like Africa, India, and all the tours. He got to the World's 100, which he didn't think he'd get. And everyone's, this is amazing. So then he got to 50, then he got to 40, then he got to 4th in the world. Yeah. And exceeded all his expectations. So Tim Henman, I'm sorry, but I salute you, and I'm going to give tennis a go.
He's turned it around. Because I think that Henman is massively underrated. I know he lost in a lot of semi-finals, but he made the most.
Well, this is it. We spoke about that, and he said he sees his career so successful because he could not have done any better. He got to world number 4, which, you know what I think, come first or go home. But he physically couldn't. Number 4 was like unbelievable.
When he was in Abu Dhabi, I seen the pictures on social media, video of the golf club, and it come off the head.
I was on driving range and more watching. I got bored and lobbed one up and tried to hit it, and Ed came off. Ed went 100 yards. Yeah. But then they did that. And then last week I couldn't do it because I was in Gran Canaria.
Them silly shoes. What were they? What were they?
I've not seen this photo.
Did you have socks and sandals?
No, I didn't have socks and sandals. I was doing spring, summer Giacomo, and we wanted to go somewhere with the weather.
It was cloudy.
Well, I mean, heck, it was like being in Fleetwood. You should have seen it. I got on an EasyJet flight over. Robbie, I'll talk you through EasyJet. You've probably never been on one. Right? You know when you get on an EasyJet plane, you can only turn right. There's no left is where the toilets are and the captain. There's no first class. It's just everyone. You understand economy?
Yes. Yes.
Can you tweet photos of your business class seats? I've seen a few of those.
Oh, don't you start.
Where are you staying tonight? Where are you staying tonight?
In a local hotel.
Really?
Recording so late at night.
Actually, somebody tweeted on me, said they listened to the podcast and they were on the same flight as me and you when we went to air races. Do you remember when we were on the front of the plane in that little tiny one? He was at the front and the board was there. He should have seen his knees by his chin. It was hilarious. Anyway.
I was getting on this flight. I had such an embarrassing situation. I've got on, I'm sat at the front with a legroom seat, I booked in early. And then people come up to queue up for the toilet all the way through on an EasyJet flight. So I'm getting pictures. I got asked to hold this baby. I got a round of applause from half the flight. And then, right, this was so bad. I've put this baby, I've handed this baby back. I've looked over my right shoulder and the door is on green. So I've opened the door and then I'm not looking. I've opened the door and I've just ploughed in. Oh, what I saw, I can't not see again.
Was it a bloke or a girl?
It was a woman. Who was, I think she'd been Spanish in her 70s. Oh. And as I walked up, she panicked and made this noise which was, oh! And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, and shut the door. It was the worst thing ever.
But it's not your fault.
It wasn't my fault. She came out and then it was like the walk of shame passed. She had to walk through the crowd of people. It was awful. And I got to Gran Canaria, no sun.
Oh.
I'm on a boat trying to do spring-summer in this beautiful Flintoff by Jack and More blue suit.
What were on your feet?
White Birkenstocks. Bringing them back, Robbie Savage. Bringing them back.
But why?
I'm on a boat. I'm on a boat.
Why were they so bad? They were
Have you not seen the picture?
No.
They're like...
It's on my Instagram.
They're like these big, massive, like white sandals. Are they sandals?
Yeah, white sandals, yeah.
With socks underneath.
You'd had socks on?
No socks. What are you on about? I was going to say yes.
Well, what's Henman doing now with his life? Is he coaching tennis?
He's on the board at Wimbledon. He works for the bank, which we was away with. He has a nice life, plays a lot of golf.
Yeah.
But on that boat in Gran Canaria, blimey heck, it was like weathered when men realise they've got nipples. Just standing up, it was so cold.
Yeah,
it was freezing.
Let's not talk about boats. I've got sore memories about boats.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Rob.
Tell him on. What have you been doing?
Not much, Matthew, really. I've been waiting for you two to get back after your travels.
You're not hot, Robbie. You're not hot.
Yeah, I've missed you both. I am hot.
Oh, you're not warm.
I've been...
Take your flying jacket off.
You can say.
Have you flown here? Biggles over there.
That is an outfit, Rob. It's good. I like it.
What have you got underneath?
Listen, obviously, we're recording this on Sunday because I've come straight back from we can say that. Of course we can say it. You know,
we can we?
Yeah.
Mike's having a heart attack
I've been at Liverpool against Spurs. Amazing game.
What a match.
It was freezing. It was 3 degrees.
Brilliant.
You know, so I've dressed up warm for my commentary. Rushed here because Fred's doing Fat Friends of Musical in Southampton all week.
Yeah.
You know, so we're getting it done today because he's off.
There's a few tickets knocking about.
Yeah, I'm not surprised after listening to you sing. I'm Matthew, so I've come straight from there. I've just been busy with football. Not much happened really. Not much happened at all.
Neither for me. A couple of corporate events. Spent a lot more time with the kids this week. After
Good
getting
man,
hammered
yes.
by Fred.
I'm going the other way in a minute.
I know. You're going to be away the whole week, aren't you?
Yeah.
And then on a longer run in different cities.
Yeah, but a bit of me there and everywhere. But go on, what have you been doing?
Well, one of the things that happened, as Mike shouts into my ear that I have to mention this just to see your reaction, is on Thursday I was invited to share a platform at the Global Patient Safety Conference in London with President Clinton.
She didn't win. Trump won.
No, Bill.
Oh, Bill.
Former President Clinton. That wasn't a trick question.
You were with Bill Clinton.
No, I've been invited to do an event with him. So I was the keynote.
You've done it? Are you doing it?
No, I'm doing it. But I got the invitation at the end of last week. I mentioned it to Mike, and he said, "You got to mention it during the podcast just to see how Rob and Fred react." Rob looks completely underwhelmed.
Are you sharing the stage with him at the same time?
Yes, so I'm doing a speech, then he's coming on and doing a speech. And I think we're doing a Q&A together.
What are you going to ask him? The obvious. Hey, what's under the desk, Billy? You got to. Come on.
Mike,
Can you not say no? Come on.
Exactly.
Send him my regards.
Oh, well.
You're with Bill Clinton.
Yeah. So he's really, I'm interested in patient safety, NHS.
Yeah.
Love. Right, guys.
No, I tell you what, one more thing I did this week.
Yeah.
I went from, this is my week, this is how random it is. I was in Gran Canaria 1 minute, next minute I'm in Hull.
Oh, your musical?
Yeah, I went in, I rehearsed for 2 days. So I got in and said, do you want to do Friday's show? I said, yeah, go on then, why not? But I'd not been reading it, so I thought this could be a challenge. Then they've changed my song. Wow. I've got to sing it now.
When you say change the song,
it's the same song but different keys. I've got to go up massively, down, rifting, all this and that. But do you know what? Do you know when we talk about coaches getting the best out of people? We've got a new music director called Michael. And he's told me what he's going to do.
Slightly harsh on the previous one.
No, he was brilliant, but he was starting from a standstill with me.
Yeah, right.
Where I've improved a little bit. And he says, I'm not letting you sing like that, we're going to do this. And I'm thinking, I can't do it. But then, like coaches instill something in someone.
Yeah.
Like mentally, and I was talking last time about getting the England job. And I'm not staking my claim here, but I was saying it's making your players feel the best they can be when they walk out.
Yeah.
And in a different world, like even singing, he did that for us and went out there. And the cast was so nice because I've gone back and they've been great to me. I walked off and usually they take the mickey out of me and have a laugh going, whoa, whoa, whoa. All of them were on the side clapping.
Really?
It was like, I was...
Well,
Can you give us a little bit now?
No, I can't spoil it, Rob. Copyright.
Can I just ask, those human skills...
I've got to warm up.
No, I get that. What did he do? What was the kind of interaction that managed to get you in the right frame of mind before you did something completely new?
They're trying to sing in tune just now.
But that was the biggest. That was the biggest thing, the biggest one.
I heard him.
It was making me believe it. I can do it because what doing this is out your comfort zone. I don't find being on stage out my comfort zone acting, but then the singing I do. And there was almost something, which I don't know what you think, Robbie, with some of the stuff you do and some of the stuff you do, Matthew, it's the first time in so many years where I was holding something back. Usually I'm just balls out and I'll throw myself in. And with this singing, I wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
And then he made me do it. And then once I heard it myself, it was like, I see it. The more I go at this, the harder I work, which was amazing. Yeah. He said I wasn't working hard enough. And I'm like, hang on, mate, it's singing. He said, no, you are not working. And then when I put into it, I came off sweating from singing. It was bizarre, but loved it. Whole crowd, unbelievable.
You come off sweating singing,
mate.
with the lights hot.
Hey, don't you start? do not start there,
Seriously, you were sweating singing. Come on,
what,
Matthew?
This is a really good way into the first topic, which is nerve. Harry Kane last night.
Last night, you said it was Sunday. Were you mad? What are you trying to make it up for? You're not listening.
Okay.
Don't try and be clever on this podcast.
Leave that in. It's funny.
Harry Kane missed a penalty in a massive match between Liverpool and Spurs at Anfield. Liverpool took the lead 2-1 with a fantastic goal by Salah. They did a close-up of Harry Kane. He closed his eyes. He looked absolutely devastated. A few minutes after that, few seconds still to go, another penalty for Spurs. The question was, would he take the penalty? He grabbed the ball. He executed it brilliantly. And to me, that demonstrated incredible nerve. And what I wanted to really get into is, have you guys ever experienced an embarrassing, humiliating failure, but then had the bottle to step up again and nail it? Have you ever turned away?
Have you seen him? Have you seen him? Have you seen him? Had the nerve to dress like that? Let's see how he comes back next week. Come back stronger, Robbie. You've had a shocker, but you've got some nerve, son. You've got some nerve.
You've been horrible again.
Come on, Frank Gallagher. It's like Shameless. Now the chance for this is not Garden of Eden.
What happens, Matthew? Because we've not seen each other 2 weeks. He must be that much. He gives as much abuse as he can to make him feel better.
You think
he feels better about himself.
You think it's affection?
Oh.
Yeah.
Were you impressed with the bottle of Kane to grab the ball, to take the penalty? I think if he had missed 2 penalties and Spurs had lost all of those points, then the emotional scar tissue would have taken a very, very long time to heal.
Nonsense.
Go on.
Nonsense. How can that be? So this is a guy who has scored the most goals in a calendar year. He's breaking records left, right and centre. To say he would emotionally scar him for missing 2 penalties at Anfield, I think that's nonsense.
Can I ask, I've not seen it.
Yeah.
But did he miss the target or saved?
Saved.
Poor
penalty.
It was a bad penalty.
Scuffed it straight into the goalkeeper's hands. A lot of people, I think, felt that it was a terrible penalty. Poor execution. But it was a confidence
but
he showed
don't they
when
say,
he took the
Matthew,
ball.
but don't they say, if you fall off a bike, the best thing you can do is get back on it?
That's true, but sometimes, you know what people do? They walk away from the bike. You've seen players who've missed penalties and they've lost their nerve. The manager's lost faith in them. They haven't had the sort of assassin's ability to stay on target. I thought Kane showed incredible mental strength and resilience to what he did.
Do you know what he done? Do you know what I think he done it? Do you know what I think he done it? Mm-hmm. Because he's that powerful on that side.
True.
He's the main man. If he would have been... Just say he would have been a substitute or not as influential, or not the Harry Kane who's breaking records left, right and centre. He was maybe in and out the side. If he'd have missed a penalty then I don't think he'd have taken it again. Because he's that powerful and his performances suggest he is the main man and he's probably the best striker in the world at the minute. He knows, even if he misses the second one, unlucky Harry, at least you had the bottle to take it. So irrespective if he missed that, it would be forgotten tomorrow. It might be red lines, missed 2 penalties, but because of his stature amongst the side and his stature in world football, the right thing to do was get the penalty. I think if he misses it doesn't affect him at all.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Have you ever been impressed, Fred,
Really?
with a cricketer, teammate or opponent? They've had a terrible humiliation. I'm not saying the first penalty was as bad as all that, but something has gone badly wrong, and you've seen them get back on the bike to use
I reckon the biggest one we've seen in recent times is Ben Stokes.
Yeah.
T20
After the World Cup.
final. They need 19 off and over. I'm sorry, but the game's gone. You've won, Get the champagne out, lift the trophy, you're done. All you need to do is hit 3 Yorkers, game's over.
Yep.
He didn't hit any.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, you can watch it and you can listen to him, but that over was shocking. He bottled it. He genuinely bottled it. And everyone's saying afterwards, where's he going to go? His career's over. He's been 10 times better since.
Yes.
We saw his IPL prize go up. He performed in that. He's performed in all cricket he's played in. Would have loved to have had him this winter. But I think, with Harry Kane, what as a penalty taker?
I did take a lot.
But what's acceptable to miss? Is it 1 in 5, 1 in 8, 1 in 10?
That's a good question, Fred. I think it's acceptable to miss if you do it the right way. Like when people miss a penalty and try and dink it down the middle, and they miss, then I think that's not acceptable. If they go in, they look great. So I think Harry Kane, all fairness to him, he took it and scored. I've got to say, I'd like to hear when you held your nerve the most. Mine was, and it's been topical in recent weeks with Mahrez. I know we're not doing a Mahrez situation, but I held my nerve to force the move through to Blackburn Rovers. Yep. You imagine that everybody's against you. Your teammates might go against you.
This is because they knew that you wanted to leave the club.
Yeah, and I was being a disgrace to force through a move, which I've admitted in a previous podcast. But you imagine, everybody's saying bad things about you. The local papers, saying he wants to go. You put in the reserve side, 2,500 people turned up at Solihull to watch me perform, banners saying I was this and that. I was anxious. I was sitting at home thinking, I've got to hold my nerve. It would have been easy for me to say, no, I'm going to stay. But because I was that desperate to get what I wanted, I was watching the news, all the time on the it was Sky Sports News, breaking news. Had my move gone through? Had they accepted a bid? Because it was that worrying for me, and it would be easy for me because I like Steve Bruce, going to Steve Bruce and saying, do you know what, Steve, I'm going to stay. I've just signed a 4-year contract.
But on the flip side of that, could you not have had a grown-up conversation with Steve Bruce saying, Steve, take the shell suit off? No. Could you not have gone into Steve...
trying to be serious here.
No. Could you not have gone into Steve Bruce and said, Steve, come on, mate.
This is where I'm at.
I don't... I don't want to be... it's gone now, Steve. Let's do...
Yeah, but you've got to stand from the manager's point of view. I was their best player. I was their best player.
Yeah.
So he wanted to keep me, and...
What was he saying to you to try and keep you there? Was he saying...
Yeah, well, I just had a new 4-year contract 6 months before that.
Borrow a shell suit any day of the week.
But holding your nerve and everybody's against you, but I believed in it was the right thing to do for my own family. I went about it the wrong way, as I've admitted, but you imagine that.
But you were mentally strong enough when you went on the pitch.
My house was attacked, I had my windows smashed, I had my gates sprayed.
Yeah, but you must have somebody do it windows on speed dial. Always getting done. Oh, he's upset. Oh, what's wrong with you?
Yes, I'm very serious.
Did anyone back you in the dressing room? Was there anybody who was on your side?
Well, a few of the guys were, but it was. I didn't care what anybody thought of me at the time. Didn't care.
Really?
Didn't care.
So if you could have that time again, would you have gone about it differently? Or what could you have done?
I was shocking in my behaviour, but inevitably, would I do it again? Probably, because I got what I wanted at the end of it. We're seeing situations now with Riyad Mahrez, could have had his dream move. I likened it to, you imagine, this is what I can liken it to hold my nerve. You imagine going to the shop and it's an analogy. It might be a completely ridiculous analogy. You probably will because I'm saying it, and you'll probably hammer me, and you'll probably laugh, Matthew.
What kind of shop?
You'll be pathetic, like laugh at every thing he says.
What kind of shop are you going to?
So a Co-op.
I love them.
So go in the Co-op in Prestbury.
I'd get giant chocolate buttons for £1.
Yeah.
No, great shop. Co-op.
No.
Or I'd get the milk white ones, £1 as well.
Yeah.
I like it when they have the minstrels on.
Had a Red Bull as well.
Yeah, sometimes that's half price.
Really?
Yes.
My little friend loves that at the minute. Anyway.
We're still in Co-op.
We're still in the Co-op. We're still in the Co-op. So I've got everything.
Yep.
Everything I've dreamed for.
In the Co-op?
What?
On the Co-op.
Everything you've dreamed of's in the Co-op.
No.
I've always wanted baked beans. I've always wanted...
Tin tuna.
What you doing about?
Hang on.
I'm going to buy a J-Cloth.
Got to take my jacket off and get it out in here.
Everything you've ever wanted in Co-op.
I'm getting to a point. Can you leave me be?
It's better be a good point, though.
So, you imagine, I've got, I'm going to get more money at Blackburn. I am going to be closer to my parents, which is a fact. I know they said it was different. Ewood Park was further away from St Andrews. Yeah. But where I lived was closer to Mum and Dad's.
Hang on.
I was going to play for my hero.
Is the Co-op still part of the story?
Co-op's still part there. So you imagine this. I'm sitting at home. I'm anxious. I'm thinking, is it going to happen? I've put all my eggs in one basket. They've got them from the Co-op.
Free range. Yeah, free range or organic.
It was 6. It wasn't a dozen. It was 6.
Mixed size or large.
Right? Yeah, medium. So I've gone there and I've got my lottery ticket and I've done the 6 numbers, right? You imagine that I've got that ticket and it's in my pocket, and then you're watching the telly on the Saturday night, that ticket comes in, you go to the shop, you get your money, you've won. You've won, your life changes forever in terms of financially, in terms of everything you've wanted. It was the whole package. And it was amazing. So I believe that decision, holding my nerve on that particular occasion, at the end goal was like, for me, win the lottery, and I had one opportunity to do it, and I took it.
So you faced up to vilification from the fans.
Rightly so.
People coming to you, but the vandalism was
Wrong.
way out of all kilter.
Getting spat at, wrong.
And you had the strength because you knew that where you were going to end up with was strong for you, was great for your family, and therefore you went through with it.
Held my nerve.
How did you feel when you signed at Birmingham?
From Leicester.
Well, you left Birmingham to go to Blackburn.
Yeah.
So when you signed to Birmingham, was that a big move?
Because
was
Leicester...
that a Co-op moment as well?
No, that was not. That was not my end goal, because that was when I was, what was I, 25. That was not my end goal, because Leicester got relegated. I went to Birmingham. That was
League
not...
One or Championship then?
Premier League.
All right.
Premier League, yeah. So 11 years in the Premier League. And
yeah, no, I know that, but Birmingham were up and down, aren't
Birmingham were in the Premier League, their first season in the Premier League, but that was not my end goal. You know, it was my end goal was to play. My regret is, although
Birmingham was like going to Spa. Spa and then Co-ops.
In terms of size of football clubs, Birmingham's a big football club. Derby County's a big football club. History. Blackburn Rovers, you would say, is not a big football club.
Is that just after all the success they had?
Yeah, Blackburn won the Premier League.
Yeah, but is this just after?
Yeah. And Leicester City, great football club, won the Premier League. So I play for clubs who have won the Premier League, but not when I was there.
Fred, did you ever find a situation, let's take the Ashes, where you captained the team, didn't go as well as you had hoped? A lot of the headlines were very negative. Were there any moments, any doubts, any insecurities that came to the forefront of your mind? You're somebody who often grew under pressure. You found that galvanising. Did you ever have any doubts? Or did you find that when you next took to the field of play, you were like Harry Kane and you said, you know what? I'm going to nail this.
Do you know what? Whatever I do, whether it's sport or anything, I have doubts in everything. And if I'm not doubting myself, I feel I'm doing the wrong job. Mm-hmm. It's like, I doubt myself. I don't mind questioning myself, neither. I question myself constantly. But I'm not bothered about that. It's more the answers. It's like, I'll get through this. Every time I played cricket, I was so nervous. And I was in a position where I'd walk out, and then all of a sudden, it's like, nah, snap out of it. And then sort yourself out. And I don't know about Harry Kane, and you, Rob, and you, Matthew, as well. The reason that you play sport or do something is to be involved in them big moments. Yeah. Even now, if I go to a sporting event, I get a little bit jealous. I don't care what it is. You know, when there's a big moment in a match, like Harry Kane taking the penalty, I want to take that penalty.
Yeah, that nerves, that feels amazing.
See, I'm not sure that I totally feel the same way as you two do. When I had the biggest match in my table tennis career in Sydney, I fell apart, and it was embarrassing. I played much worse in that match than any other match in my entire career. I let my coach down. I let my teammates down. I felt that I'd let my parents down. It was live on television. So table tennis doesn't have the profile of football or cricket. And suddenly I'm in the spotlight, the Olympic Games, once every 4 years.
Yeah.
And it was horrible. On the bus on the way back.
Is that not amazing?
Oh, it was dreadful, Fred. I just couldn't cope with the pressure. I saw the Union Jacks in the stadium. I knew that this was the culmination of 4 years of hard work, and I genuinely couldn't cope. My hand was shaking a little bit. So think about the touch you need in table tennis, right, when there's spin. And I just couldn't feel the ball. And I was missing by a yard and a half. And my coach, he sort of had a look of pity on his face. My opponent was feeling sorry for me. And I've got to admit, my nerve failed me. And in the bus on the way back to the Olympic Village, I phoned British Airways and said, I want to change my flight to come home tomorrow. I just couldn't cope with it. And when I got home, I tried to avoid my friends. I didn't want to tell them what had happened. I didn't really want to see my parents because they had watched it live on television. And if I'm being completely honest, there was a period in that very dark shadow that was cast after Sydney when I thought of retiring, walking away. Why put yourself through that again?
I was like that after the Ashes 2006-07 and the World Cup afterward. The pedlar was... I struggled looking at people and being around people, and it wasn't because...
That's because you had 15 pints inside you struggled looking at people.
My eyes were everywhere.
Your eyes were everywhere.
No wonder I couldn't do all. And we went to America because I was injured, I had more surgery, and I convinced my employers to let me go to America for warm weather training. And whilst we were there, the pound was 2-1, and it was all nice. And I said to the missus, do you know what? Let's just cash in. Let's open a cafe here or something, and we'll stay here. I've had enough.
Yeah.
I don't need this. I was getting a roasting in the papers.
So interesting.
And I said to her, shall we? We had 2 kids then. We're staying on this lovely reserve, a golf place, nice house. So I'll just buy this house.
Yeah.
And we'll live here. We'll get away from everything. We'll start again. But then, you know what? For that split second, I thought it was a good idea. And I looked at brochures for houses and looked at what I could do. And then, as I started training and getting back into it, I thought, you know what?
Yeah.
There's not a chance.
Yeah.
There is not a chance in hell. Because if someone tells me I can't do it, I'm doing it. There's no two ways about it, and I will do it. And then sometimes when I got to the top, I got a little bit bored, to be honest. I got a little bit bored. I didn't enjoy falling, but I enjoyed going back up. And then,
sorry.
Go on, no, Karen.
Well, I was going to say that emotion of what you were experiencing when you're on that low point, just get away from it. Never have to put yourself in the lion's den again. When I watched Kane grab the ball, I was thinking, oh no, what if it goes wrong? And I started vicariously experiencing what I might feel like in that situation. One slightly trivial story, school play, we did The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. And I was the Aslan. There was somebody else who was the Wicked Witch. And I
thought you might have been the wardrobe.
The Wicked Witch. So big role. All of our parents are there. We're 11 years old. Forgot her lines. And for the whole of the senior school, she never wanted to put herself under pressure again. She walked away from it and always walked away from pressure. And I think if you have that attitude, you can understand it because humiliation is horrible.
I couldn't put my hand up at school. You know when you're in the class?
Because you didn't know the answers. Oh, no. Robbie, you're crossing them in here. Come on, you crossed that one in. I mean, that was the best cross you've ever made, that.
I didn't put my hands up because I was that nervous. I knew the answers, Freddie. 7 GCSE. I knew the answers, but I would never... Even though I knew the answer, I wouldn't put my hand up in case I was wrong.
Yeah.
I was always the one, and I think my Charlie's very similar to me. Now, my eldest boy... I wouldn't put my hand up. I wouldn't get in the school play because I was petrified of speaking in front of people. Still can't do it now. That's why I don't.
You do. I've seen you.
Yeah, but
and when you do it, you're brilliant.
But going back last week, holding your nerve, I presented for the first time on TV, on a TV station. I've been having coaching lessons. You know, I'm working hard at it to present because that's what I want to do, and the nerves. When you're in that chair and you've got the count in your ear and you've got to hit times, the nerves were horrific. But do you know what? I got such a buzz coming off after presenting it. When you're asking the questions, you're leading it. That buzz I got back there was unbelievable. That made me think, can I do this, can't I? And I sent Fred the video to show him, and I've had a lot of positivity, which is, not like what I get positivity.
Yeah. But to be fair to you, you look the part, you look great.
What was the show?
It was called Fan Zone on Premier League TV, which goes all around the world. So
good for you, mate.
It's the Premier League TV, so it was called Fan Zone. So it's like a 606 on TV, and I had Leroy Rossenoir on with me. Yeah, Leroy, you're brilliant, so helpful. And do you know what? This is what you don't. This is why I think in our industry you should always treat people, the runners, the people who take you places, your fellow pundits, presenters, because I'm led to believe that Leroy knew it was my first one, and he's experienced in that show as a pundit. He drove all the way from Bristol for half an hour to be on with me so he could get me through it. And do you know what? You don't forget things like that. And he helped me through it. He was magnificent, all the way from Bristol for half an hour just for me. And he helped me through it. And he said, "Don't be nervous." And it was amazing.
Did you find, before?
So holding your nerve.
Do you know before it actually starts?
Yeah.
I've done a little bit of live stuff.
Yeah.
And then you can, like you say, you hear it all in your ear and your heart's pounding.
And my mouth
and then you take in and you think, what am I going to say? I'm not sure if I can ask this question. I'm going to do this or that. But then all of a sudden, as soon as it comes on, you're fine.
Yeah, and it's a buzz. And I'm not that buzz. I get the buzz doing this, but I'm not that buzz, that feeling of Harry Kane scoring that penalty. Because one thing I think when you've played professional sport is that moment of adulation. And you're saying, I think the positives for Harry Kane scoring that penalty, second one, you've sprinted away to the corner, he's a hero now. And that adulation of being a hero or getting something right for that moment, it's unbelievable.
I can't be missing out. I can't miss out on things.
No, you can't.
But did you talked about the fear of failure in school where you wouldn't put your hand up.
Yeah.
Why don't you think you felt that fear of failure when you're on a football pitch? Or did you sometimes?
Say that again.
You said that you didn't want to put your hand up. You're worried about being humiliated.
Yeah.
But in football, your nerve was always there for you. You'd take risks. You'd put yourself on the field of play. You'd put yourself.
It was natural.
You never felt any of that on football.
I was nervous walking out. There was times in the first 5 minutes where I couldn't feel me feet. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not going to do it. I'm not saying it. Go on, carry on.
There was times in big games where I'd run out and I was, lethargic. And I couldn't think why, because I'd prepared the right way. I'd been to bed early, slept in separate beds, eaten the right food, hydrated. But everything was right. But in some of the games, you'd go out in the first 5 or 10 minutes, I couldn't move. And that was one thing I built my life on, was energy.
Just taking a step back.
Because of nerves.
What you guys were saying, as parents, a lot of children, they're so afraid of messing up, so afraid of getting the answer wrong, so afraid of forgetting their lines that they don't put themselves in the view of danger. They don't want to take those risks, and so they never really grow. And I think that's a massive problem in our society. I've got a 4 and a 5-year-old. I want them to be courageous. I want them to try things. I want them to face up to challenge. Is there anything that you've done as dads to put your children in a situation where they're prepared to take on the risks? Fred, you take them on all the time. You're doing live shows, live television.
What, my kids?
Yeah.
What?
Any techniques you use to encourage them to have a go?
No, I just, my big thing is you mentioned taking fear of failure away. Mm-hmm. Because ultimately, with what we do, if we fail, it really does not matter. I'm not doing a job where I save lives. I'm not a surgeon who's performing complex heart operations. If I make a mistake, so I lose someone.
Yeah.
If I forget a line on stage, blah my neck, I'm going to go home. Yeah. And then sometimes I think when I was playing cricket and sport, the times I got it wrong, where when I built it up so much, it became more than sport. Australia 2006-07, I got myself into a rut because I believed that this thing I was doing was the world's most important thing. This is the thing that's going to define me as a person. This is the thing that defines us all. And I just lost context. Yeah. If you don't have context to what you're doing,
that describes almost better than I could what I felt. It's everything was on the line in Sydney. Everything. And if something went wrong, that was the end of me as a person. That it was just, it wasn't even worth thinking about. And that's when I couldn't hold the bat and I couldn't strike the ball.
You're talking about, the kids, and I manage my under 12 side with the.
Apparently, they've had There's a few chats like Savage out.
We got beat again today, 3-1 against the top of the table.
A couple of banners down south.
I blame Jonathan Wall, the boss. He tactically got it all wrong once again. Nothing to do with me. But you're talking about the feel of failure. And growing up as kids, I'm sure that we all had it, that in my under-12 side, in my under-14 side, when I was a kid, I was the best player. I'd take all the penalties. I'd take the corners. I'd take the goal kicks. I'd take all the throw-ins because the best player seems to do that. And I just, when my little Freddie's been going through teams, I found that, the same player, usually the best player in the side, will probably take the penalties, take the free kicks. So I've decided with my under-12 side is that if you get fouled for a penalty, you take it.
All right.
Because I want you to feel nerves,
right.
I want you to feel failure, and I want you to feel joy.
Yep.
If it's a free kick outside the box, I don't care if you're the left back, if you're the substitutes, come on. If you get fouled for that penalty, you take it. Because I don't want to see the same kid taking the same penalty, because I want all the kids in my under-12 side to feel joy, to feel if he scores a goal, because a left back or a right back might not score in my league. So
how have you reacted if a young kid has taken a penalty, they've missed, they're devastated?
Yeah, Amazon.
I blame Jono. Jono, why did you make him take it?
This child.
You fool!
Get him off. Who signed this kid?
Seriously, Jono. No, but listen, it's obviously there's a fine line. I know we've done the debate on youth football, but I just think that's how I feel. And okay, when it goes to 11-a-side next year and it becomes more competitive, I might change a little bit. But at this minute in time, I want the kids to feel joy, failure, happiness, all different emotions. How are they going to learn?
It's almost like the biggest risk isn't to try and fail. The real risk is not to try at all.
Right, that's the big thing. If you don't try, why would you look round at being 60 think, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. I'd sooner fail at a few things.
Brilliant.
But also as well, getting back to nerves, I don't know what you found, my career was different. In the first part of my career, I wasn't particularly well prepared. I'd go out and get hammered. I'd have a few nights out before I played.
Stuff didn't fit you?
Yeah, well, they didn't. My trousers were above my neck. Don't get me started. I think I had the mascot shirt on for years because it was the only one that had fit me. Well, I had about 6 X's on. So, not even Jacket would have fit me then. So, and I found if I turned up for games not knowing how it's going to go or not feeling prepared, I was very nervous. But if I turn up to something now, knowing that, you know what, I've done everything I can here. Like you said about the Premier League thing you did the other week presenting.
Yeah.
If you know that, hang on a minute, you turn up, I've worked at this. I've practiced at it. I've worked with someone. Same with the cricket. Same with anything you do. If you turn up knowing I've done everything I can here to perform, I reckon the nerves subside a little bit. But getting back to Hull, Fat Friends Friday night, I winged it a little bit.
Did you?
Because I got there, I should have read my script over the Christmas period, and I hadn't. And I turned up Thursday. Luckily, most of it had kicked set in. But I was on the spot, and I'd gone out there, and I wasn't sure if I knew it. But I've never concentrated as much in my life. I got away with it for that, but that's just not the norm.
Were you nervous on your wedding?
Yeah, but for different reasons. It was a bit weird. She was an hour late, which then...
An hour?
Yeah, she went upstairs. So I'm there, like... Seriously?
An hour?
Right, we got married in this house in Knightsbridge.
An house?
An house?
You got married in a house? In Knightsbridge?
What we did in Knightsbridge?
Was it Matthews?
Up north, it's grim down south.
You got married in a house?
Yeah, one of them terraced houses.
Whereabouts?
Pavilion Road.
Uh-huh.
So you had the ceremony downstairs.
In a house?
In a house.
No, church.
Like a townhouse.
A townhouse.
You get married in a house?
Yeah. What?
Go on, carry on.
So we got married in this house. House? Yes, right, we got married in a house. And on the first floor, in the house...
Was a bedroom?
was the reception with a meal.
Yeah.
And then upstairs in the house was the bedroom. So she's getting ready upstairs. Everyone comes in. And then they're all sat down, probably 120 people. And then,
in an house, big house.
In an house. They all
house.
got a chair. And they're all sat down. And then, say it's meant to kick off at 1 o'clock. Like 1:05. It's like, 1:20, still not here. 1:25, 1:45. I'm getting a bit restless. People are looking at me. I know she's coming. I do know she's coming.
You sat at the front for an hour?
No, I was at the back having a drink with my brother. So, and people are looking at me as if to say, is something wrong with you? Is she not coming down? What have you done? And I'm thinking, no, I knew it was fine. But with everyone looking at me, I started to get a bit conscious, and I started to get an overweight sweat on. So top lip started going, and then I got a bit of a sweat on. And then finally she came down.
Did you cry when you seen her?
Huh?
Did you cry when you turned?
Oh, bollocks her for being late. Where have you been? Where have you been? It's how it started, this married life. I spent my time waiting.
Were you nervous?
On my wedding day, I was all right, actually.
I bet your speech was amazing. I bet you bored people to death. Imagine.
Black box thinking.
I tell you what, I turned it into corporate. Actually, I did what you did. I didn't prepare properly. I thought I'd be fine because I was so euphoric about getting married.
I'm not surprised. I've seen her. Seen you and all. Get on.
And then I don't know if I've mentioned this on a previous podcast. Halfway through, I realised I didn't have hardly anything else to say, so I resorted to black box thinking about. No, I resorted to a story that I knew everyone would laugh at, but it was a story about the opening line of a piece I'd written in the Times about when I'd got laid during the Olympic Games in Barcelona. And I'm halfway through this story because I thought...
Are you wedding day?
You're talking about...
It's ridiculous.
Having sex with someone else?
I talked about having sex
Did
with someone.
people believe that you had sex with somebody else? Were they sat there looking, thinking, he's never had one in his life?
Why
tonight is his first night. He's getting out the wrapper tonight.
He's been horrible to you today. No. Hey, it's not nice, is it?
You're laughing at it,
Not nice, is it?
No.
Carry on.
Like halfway through this story...
You're told that
I'm in the middle of it, and I know that the punchline is getting laid in the Olympic Village, and I'm like, oh no. I could see the car crash coming, and I could see everyone looking at me, and I started sweating, and I couldn't extricate myself. And I'm looking forward, and my mother-in-law is right in my line of sight on the same table. I said the line... She was horrified, absolutely horrified. My father-in-law sort of giggled a bit. The rest of the room is like this stunned silence. And then I sort of veered into something else. So that was definitely an embarrassment. But having said that, you know what you were saying is that even if you're embarrassed, you give something a go and something goes wrong, it's not the end of the world. I got through it. The marriage is still going strong. We got two wonderful kids.
I'm embarrassed now looking back at my wedding photos.
Oh, me too.
I wore white.
You wore white?
The same as the bride.
Yeah,
a white dress.
I wore white. I wore a white ivory suit.
Really?
Ivory.
What colour shirt?
Ivory.
Yeah, and then tie?
Ivory. Ivory shoes.
Who picked it?
Me.
Did the missus know you were going to do that?
Yeah.
Did she not say, Rob, come on?
Yes.
Come on, Rob.
And one of my first lines in my speech was, I know I look better than my wife.
That's what you said?
Yeah. What? Yeah. It was a joke, but it didn't go down well.
No, they don't.
I wore white for my wedding day. I had white hair, white teeth, a white suit.
Just orange skin. What?
Yeah,
I was just going with you then.
I wore white on my wedding day.
Did you regret it?
Now, of course I do. My wife should have been more special. It was a good day for her. Of course it was. But she should have been all about her, and I took a bit of the limelight, which I can't get back, but... we've had 15 great years together. You don't get nervous at all now in your speeches?
Oh, I do. I get very nervous.
Like when you were Big Billy Clinton?
Yeah, I'll be nervous.
So when you were Bill Clinton, will you not be nervous?
Every time I deliver a speech, and I've done hundreds of them now, half an hour before, I'll go out, I'll try and routine what I'm going to say in my head, and then I'll do...
Do you have auto cue?
No. I do it without notes or PowerPoint. But then I will start...
Really?
Look at you.
No PowerPoint, no auto cue?
No.
Wow.
And then it depends on how long it is and what
do
the
you
content
have
is.
slides?
No, nothing.
You don't have slides?
No.
So how do you know what you're going to say then?
Preparation, intro... No, nothing.
Why?
Just a lapel microphone, and then I speak from the heart. And
You've forgotten?
No, I haven't, not yet, and I'm sure it will at some stage happen. But, I'm very interested in the material. I know the subject well. And over time, you just get quite used to extemporising. And I'm all right with it, but I'm always nervous when I get out there. I've got to tell you, I go into a bathroom or some quiet area. I do vocal exercises. My heart
Go on, do a vocal exercise. What do you do?
Yeah, go on.
You really want to know?
Yeah.
So I start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I get louder and louder.
Do it proper.
So I go all the way up to 100.
Do it.
Getting louder
do
and
to
louder.
20. Do to 20.
Go on.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Do you do that with your arms as well?
Yeah, I do.
You do this.
And I'm getting into it. And actually, sometimes...
How much do you get paid?
If you're mic'd... I don't actually say that.
If they could see you in the bathroom
That's your
before he
speech.
goes
No!
And ladies and gentlemen, here he
One,
goes.
2,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That's not the speech.
That's
That's the
You get
warm-up.
paid for that.
That's the warm-up.
Pathetic.
We do different ones. We go.
before singing.
What? I don't do anything.
Go on, what do you do?
I don't know.
How do you prepare for telly? Do you do all?
No.
When you did this live show, you didn't do any... You just went in there,
Yeah.
you got
Autocue?
mic'd up.
Autocue, yeah.
What is it
Autocue.
about autocue? I can read, you can read.
Yeah.
But when they put it on autocue, you doubt the very facts
Yeah.
that you can read.
Read it,
You doubt
do.
you look at it. I wear glasses for distance.
Yeah.
But not yet have I needed glasses for the autocue.
You do
but
doubt.
every time I see it, I think I'm not going to be able to read it. I always say to them, "Oh, can you
100%.
make it bigger? I've not bought my glasses."
Yeah.
It's about 20 centimetres anyway.
And you get words mixed up in the wrong places. You don't
Yeah.
finish the sentences in the right place. Have you ever done autocue, Matthew?
Yeah.
You
It's
convince
bizarre.
yourself
Yeah,
you
you
can't
can't
read.
Interesting. Should we go on to the next one?
You can if you want.
Topic number 2. This is one that Robbie had in mind for the first show of this new run, but then he decided against. It's the time when we have felt like we've been badly wronged. Roberta.
So, yes, it's happened recently where I believe I'm a man of morals. I'm a man of principles, and I believe if I
Matthew,
can,
he's being sincere. Leave
yeah,
him.
yeah.
Well, I'm having that.
And it-
Don't listen
and it's
to
your
him,
face
Matthew.
when you click
Don't
that
listen to
song.
and
him.
if I can help people in any situation, I trust people, and that's been my biggest downfall, I suppose, in my life, that the trust I've put in people. I'm then gonna. I'm all in. I'm all in with those people. So cut long story short, I had something fitted at my house initially, and the person concerned come to my house, done a good job, no question about it.
It's like a cryptic crossword.
Yeah. I've got to be careful. I was happy with the work done.
What was it?
TV.
It was a TV.
Was it?
Yeah, it was TV. Very happy with the work done. And then about 2 or 3 years later, I decided I wanted a new TV. So I phoned up the gentleman concerned and said, can I get a new TV? He said, yeah, no problem. There's a new one out on the market, but I need the money first. So I transferred the money into his bank and never received the TV and never received the money back. So I thought, right, that's not acceptable, for my father, for my mother, for me, for my brother, for anybody, the amount of money at stake. It wasn't 5 figures, it was less than 5 figures, 4-figure sum. I just thought that, it took my father an age to earn that type of money, so I'm going to take this further.
It's just wrong, though, isn't it? It's
Wrong. So, I trusted this person, I invited him into my home, initially done a good job, and then because he'd done a good job first and foremost, he gained my trust, therefore I thought I used him again. So the money was transferred, and then, as I said, I didn't get the goods, didn't get the money back. So I offered him, can he pay me back monthly? I was in phone context with him, and it was excuse after excuse. I'm led to believe he left the country after my money was paid to him.
Where did he go? Wales?
It's a serious subject.
He wasn't that much, was it?
No.
I mean, when he goes Scotland, he's not going to run off to Mexico for money of a telly. He's not Ronnie Biggs, is it? He's not the great train robbery. He's emigrated over a 20-inch Toshiba.
He kept a straight face for the first 3
Why are you being like that for?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's serious stuff, this, but I'm sorry.
Serious stuff. So, you're following it, right? So this is about principle, this is about morals, this is about what is wrong with the world. So, so where am I? So I've everything's transferred over. I said, can you pay me back monthly? I was in conversation on the phone. I was in conversation on text. 6 months down the line, nothing back. So I thought, right, I'm going to take this further. So I phoned up the next stage. Was it police? Was it lawyers? What am I going to do? Was it a civil claim? Was it a Crown Court claim? So eventually this got to Crown Court after 2 years.
Yeah.
It was adjourned. I think things happened, and it was in Crown Court.
So you went?
I went because I thought, you know what? For me, it's a principle thing that, somebody's come into my home and said they're going to do a job in my house. The job didn't happen, and I didn't get the money back. So I thought, right, okay, I'll take it to court. Went to court. I stood in the dock. I had to, say on the oath. Yeah. Say,
joking aside, I've been in court for a driving thing once, right? And I'm not going to go into it, but justice was served. But do you know when I was up there, I'd be a terrible criminal because how nerve-wracking is that?
Terrible.
When you got in the dock?
It wasn't really the dock, it was just the room where I had to stand up.
Magistrates' court.
Yeah, and I was stood up.
Oh, yeah.
You were at Crown Court, weren't you?
Crown Court.
Well, I've done all these things, but it's horrible. It's an
Crown
ordeal.
Court. So I think the press were invited in. There was a jury there, so it's obviously it's an open court. So I walked in. There was jury members, 12 people. There was people behind a glass screen. There was lawyers, judges.
Do you know, like on jury service, they're not meant to know who the person is, are they?
Yeah.
Are you telling me they found 12 people in Warrington who didn't know you were? Did you get any funny looks off anyone?
Well, I walked in and I was glowing. My hair was down. If I put it in a ponytail, I had a pink jacket on. Maybe giving the wrong impression to the judge when I walked in.
You walked in over a telly looking like you got off your yacht.
That's what I look like. Remember, I think I come in here that day after. Yeah, so I maybe give
like Peter Stringfellow.
Maybe give the wrong impression as I floated in.
Hush puppies.
So I'm in the dock, and I've been questioned by my barrister, and I've been questioned by the other barrister. Is it the defence called the defence barrister? Yeah. Questioned. I give my honest opinion. So anyway, I left. I give my evidence. I left, and then I got a phone call. Said, not guilty. Not guilty.
Wow.
But so hang on.
No, it wasn't not guilty. It was that the judge didn't think that the case should have been a criminal case.
Civil.
Hang on a minute.
Civil.
You bought him bought a telly.
Give him the money.
You've not got the telly.
Not got the money back.
You've not got the money back.
Yeah.
So you've not got anything.
Nothing.
He's got it.
Well,
but then no happens.
Nothing happens.
How does that work?
So I think the judge thought that his guilt should have been established in a civil rather than a criminal court.
What does that mean?
In other words, that he should have been compensated for the money he lost rather than this person going to jail for a criminal act.
But
as I understand it, because I've got to
the judge
say,
not turned around and said, "I'll fine you."
No, because it has to be tried. I think it has to be tried in a different jurisdiction.
But the gentleman was not guilty. Fair play. That's the judge has made a decision. I accept it. Although I accept the decision in court, but I can't, in my head, I can't think. Just tell me if I'm wrong. That
no, you're right.
I haven't got my TV and I didn't get no money back yet. It's not guilty because.
So is that the end of it?
Well, if I go explain to me, if I went civil court, which I'm not going to now because I've got enough.
It's already taken enough time.
I've got enough worry in my life. It took me 3 or 4 years to get to Crown Court. And
why did it end up in the Crown Court anyway?
No, I have no idea.
Obviously, the Crown Prosecution Service thought that it was a criminal act with a high probability of getting a conviction. But the judge thought that they came to the wrong view in trying it in that kind of a tribunal. I've got to say, Rob, we spoke a lot over that period when it had gone to court. And you were absolutely rightly upset. Just give you one example from my life.
But I can just say the gentleman was not guilty.
Yeah.
So, it was in an open court, so obviously it could have been reported. I don't know if it's been reported, but... Tell me in the world we're living in, that how can you put trust in somebody to do a good job for you? You pay them money, they get the money, you don't get the TV or the money back. How does that work? How is it possible?
Yeah, it's not right, and I know how upset you were. I did a redevelopment to a flat, the first flat I ever bought in London, 20-odd years ago. And a friend of a friend said, you know what, your flat could be really nice, but it needs to be redesigned. I'm an interior designer. Would you like me to do it for you? So I gave her a cheque, this is years ago, for £20,000. That was a huge amount of money. Well, reasonable amount of money. And they gutted the flat. I'm living in a local hotel. And then they decided, without telling me, that they were going to take out the ceiling and try and create a sort of galleried effect with a
mezzanine. Was it a ground floor flat? Did it all not fall down?
It was an house.
It was a top floor flat. And so suddenly it's all the way... But there was no beam, there was no support. And suddenly I'm thinking to myself, do we have permission? Do I actually own the loft space in this shared house? And I didn't. And she spent all of the money, the place is gutted, and then she walked away and said, sorry, I made a mistake. I wasn't quite as experienced as I'd made out. I really, for a small period of time, I started to lose my faith in people who promise so much and then don't deliver. But do you know, the really
promise the world and give you an atlas.
Yeah, exactly. And
Matthew,
the reassuring thing, I'll just finish it off, is my mum and dad took a week off from work each, came up and sorted it out, helped me to sort it out. You know, hired people, plumbers, builders, plasterers. And without their help, I think I'd have been in a complete hole. And that gave me more reassurance. But I think this thing that you're talking about, Rob, and I know that you did feel that you're too trusting. I don't think trusting people is a terrible thing. I think that's a really great quality that you have. It's one of the reasons that we got close very quickly because you express your vulnerabilities. Do you know what I mean, Fred?
Do you know what though? Am I wrong? So listen, I don't know what the jury thought of me. I don't know what the judge thought of me. I don't know what people inside that courtroom thought of me. But am I wrong to think that when I walked in, you know, I made an effort. I did make an effort.
No, I saw you.
Am I wrong to think that they might have thought, do you know what? Ex-footballer, he's not bothered about a telly. He's been paid well. You know, why is he coming to court to try and prosecute a man who maybe works so hard for not half as much as Robbie's had? Am I wrong to think that, or am I right to think that?
I think footballers do receive a lot of prejudice.
Am I right to think that I was doing it morally for principles and thinking, why should somebody get away with it? Am I right to do that or not?
I think that you are 100% in the right. I think it'd be a terrible shame if you lost the trust that you have with the people that you know, because that's a really powerful quality, and it's one of the reasons you're so popular with your close circle of friends. Fred, this is going to be a weird question, but I get the impression that you're pretty much popular with everyone you know.
Ooh,
people tend to like you. I can't really imagine you being on the wrong end of something like
I
this.
have been, yeah.
Really?
Well, we mentioned it before. I've been ripped off quite a few times by
this was
people.
financially?
Financially, I've been ripped off. I've lent money to friends and never got it back. And I'm like Rob, I'm a sucker for things. I'll help people.
Has it made you more cautious?
It did do for a while. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Made me more cautious. And do you know what? I think it's made me more standoffish as well. Yeah. Where I used to throw myself into stuff. And then recently, over the past few years, I don't know if it's an age thing or I've been burnt a few times before, but it takes that bit longer now. Yeah. And I'm always cautious. I'm always looking for something. Yeah.
An ulterior motive.
Yeah. And it's I don't like doing that.
It must be quite easy when you're in the public eye and people know you're quite wealthy for sharks to come along and try and make that acquaintance.
Yeah, I think so. And people always try it on, get a second opinion. But you know, like footballers, I'm not always the best talking about footballers. But in some ways now, I can understand the way in which they are, the way they become more guarded. There's always people looking out for them, trying to take the money off them, trying to use them. Yeah. Girls in newspapers trying to get pictures. There's adverts all the time saying, if you've got a video of someone, this, that and the other. And footballers, on the whole, get a bad rap. Yep. And you can't blame them sometimes for just being introverted and just not doing it, can you, really?
I've gone far more introverted since I retired. Really? You know, you might think that's not right in terms of what we do now. So more introverted that I used to love it. I used to love, you know, like what I used to love. I used to love maybe being in the headlines as a footballer. Do you know what I mean? But now I can't think anything worse. Anything worse.
But have you ever been wronged? Right? No, seriously. I remember when I was playing, and I think I spoke about it before when I was injured, and I played and played and played and got to a point where it took me so long to get fit again that I missed an Ashes tour. I got sent home from one. And the coach was on me. I was crying in a team meeting. Yeah. And the problem was, I was telling the truth. Yeah. I'm sat there in front of the coach and 4 or 5 senior players, and they're all venting on at me about it. And I'm saying, I've tried. I can't do anything about this. I'm being honest here. I've done everything I can. I can't do anything about this. But still, they're saying, no, you've let us down. You've done this, that, and the other. And I'm saying, I haven't. Yeah. And then you start questioning yourself.
Isn't that a horrible feeling?
You're saying, hang on a minute, am I daft here?
Yeah.
I'm not wrong. Why are these people doing this?
That's how I was
Who
feeling.
did you turn to when that happened?
I didn't turn to anyone. I just started crying.
Yeah, but it's like I got sent off. Wales, Northern Ireland. I've showed you the challenge. Yeah, when the England game was coming up, that was the next game. It was a tackle from Michael Hughes. I've got up. I've been fouled, and I've done nothing. I've got a red card. Crying, as Freddie said, crying coming off the pitch at Millennium Stadium. And then I thought, I'm not having that. I know it should be rescinded. It wasn't, so I was going to take it to the Court of Arbitration. That's how far I took it.
Really?
Because it was my dream to play against England. I've got a lot of dreams. It was to play against England at Old Trafford. And it was never, ever, ever a red card. And some people say, well, he deserved it because he should have had loads of red cards in his career, only got yellows.
Nonsense.
But it was never a red card. And how that referee can give me a red card when you see the footage, that feeling of sitting in that dressing room, being sent off, thinking, I've done that wrong. In times I've got away with stuff, but that feeling.
It's like when you know, you know, and
yeah.
But then the more you try and convince someone, the dafter you feel.
Dafter you sound.
You feel like you're trying to cover something up, or you're trying to.
Yeah.
You can't win. I did it at school. I remember I got put on detention. I didn't go. I was playing football in the yard. I was a centre half. It was a good clearance, and it's hit this girl on head, like this clearance. So she's grasped me up to the teacher, Mr. Ormby, I think he was called, a Geordie. Never had him as a maths teacher, but he had a bit of a reputation. So he's come over and said, you kicked this ball at this girl's head. I said, no, I've made a clearance, and it's hit her on head. She was like 60, 70 yards away from where it happened. He said, well, I've been told that you kicked it at her head. I says, look, mate, I'm a cricketer. If I could do that at will, I would play football. He said, come and see me at break. So I went in. He said, I'll put you on detention. I said, well, I'm not coming. I am not coming. Because once I get something in my head, if there's a miscarriage of justice on me or anyone else, I said, I'm not coming because this is wrong. He said, well, you are coming. I said, well, I'm not. I'm not. And I didn't turn up, and it got pushed further and further. And I stuck by my guns, and it went away.
It came out all right.
And then we played, end of the year, when I was 16, I was a big lad, and we played a football match against the staff. And there's all these kids, these hard kids, saying what they're going to do to the teachers, and nobody did all. But the problem with me is, if I tell you I'm going to do something, the chances are I'm not going to do it. But every now and then I get this thing over me, and I just do something without even thinking. And he had the ball.
Mr. Hornby.
Mr. Hornby, bounced in front of him.
Mr. Hornby, hashtag Fred Sam Syed.
And he's got his hands out to try and shield it. And I ran over. I was 6'2". I was about 14 stone. And I've run over and I've smashed him from behind. And I'm not talking just a nudge. There's elbows, there's knees, and I've flattened him. And he's hit the ground and he's on the floor. He's not looking good. And I'm just stood over thinking, oh no, what have I done? And he got up and he goes, you got a problem, big man? I said, no, sir, but I think you have.
Really?
And then the other teachers had to grab hold of him and take him out. And I got sent away.
Can I finish with one thing that sort of ties it all together? Just reminded me, listening to your story, 1990, I was dating somebody called Denise, who is...
Oh, yeah, Denise.
Denise.
This is a whopper, Rob. This never happened.
Can't wait for this.
Check this out. She, at the time, she was an art student. She went on to write... Do you remember the PJ and Duncan song, Ant and Dec, Let's Get Ready to Rumble?
Let's get ready to rumble.
She wrote the song,
did the backing... Psych.
Did the backing vocals she wrote for Britney Spears, went on to incredibly successful music career. But when we were dating, she was an art student, I 19 years old, we pulled over on zigzags in South London. She lived in Bermondsey. And she went into a chemist. She had a really bad headache. And I waited in the car, and a police officer came over, knocked on the window. He said, you're on zigzags. That's against the law. I'm going to have to give you a ticket. And I said, I've stopped because my girlfriend's feeling really ill. She's in that chemist, that pharmacy, getting headache tablets. And by the way, there are 2 other cars on these zigzags, and you haven't knocked on the window of either. He said, yeah, but those 2 cars are still moving. Yours is stationary. I said, there's no one in either of these 2 cars. Then I looked at him, and I realised that he had clocked that Denise is black. I'm mixed race, and I thought it was a racist act. Anyway, got the ticket, and my dad said, you've got to fight it. You can't just take that lying down. Write a letter, go to the magistrate's court, and see if the magistrate believes you or the police officer. I wrote this long letter explaining what had happened. The police officer didn't turn up. The magistrate found in my favour, and I got the conviction overturned.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well done.
Felt good.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah. Where's Denise now? Did she ever get her tablets?
She married.
But that wasn't the moral of the story.
No, yeah, she got. I thought, yeah, though she got the tablet. She actually married a guy called Nicky, who was the producer for Bros, the Nolan
Captain Amongst the
sisters.
Pigeons. Oh.
Yeah, he wrote all of that. What was the other one? Let Loose.
Let Loose.
And they started a really successful record label.
Bet she's gutted, isn't she?
Okay.
Wow.
Just to wrap this topic up, do you not think that in sport, you actually have, especially in team sport, there's a lot of people you have to put your trust in, your teammates, your manager.
I've been misplaced a few times.
Yeah.
Misplaced trust. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. I think we talked before about you don't have to get on with everyone. You don't have to be friends with everyone. But you got to trust everyone. And I didn't in the teams I played in. I reckon it was probably... in 11, like Ashes 2005, I'm not going to name who they are. I reckon I trusted 8.
Mm-hmm.
8.
Really?
8 of them. And then other 3, no. I got burnt by a few people.
Yeah.
I got close to a couple of people. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, when push came to shove...
they weren't there for you.
Not there for me, but even worse than that. Like, when people come in and say if someone comes to a new area or someone comes into a team... and then you look after them.
Yep.
And then because when I started playing with England, it was a difficult place to be. And you walk in as a new player, and it's not the friendliest place. And I remembered that, and I thought, you know what? Any new player coming in, I'm going to make a massive effort because I knew what it was like. I'm securing myself, I'm securing my position and my ability. That these people, they're not threats. They're potential teammates who they can help me out. So I went out my way, and a couple of times. I got so close to people, and then as soon as they got their feet under the table, went off with a senior lot and knifed us and knifed other people. And I hated that. And I've had that a few times when, whether it be going into a new job or going people moving and helping people, and then all of a sudden they'll bin you for a better offer or something.
I'm totally with you. And that really is, I believe, the 3 of us in this room are good people, right? And as I've said before, I was like Freddie, new teammates coming into the side because I was captain of most sides I play. If I'd help them, help them as much as I could because they were new. And even when you retire from football, you try and help people. You try and say, I know him, he's a good guy. And I've got a lot of mates who've done well for themselves, and I try and put my mates with those people if they can help each other out. Yeah. And there's been times where... you don't even get a thank you. You don't even get a bottle of wine. And I'm not saying you do. I don't want to be people saying, well, he's a great lad. But just a thank you. Like, listen, I've done it with Fred, and he always thanks me. I'll try and do it with you. Now we're all, like, best mates. With Fred, I'll try and get Fred stuff. He'll try and get reciprocate. What's the word?
Reciprocate.
It's like some of the jobs you got me with a company. Like, you got me a big job with a company.
But you do it with
me.
me.
I got him a couple of things.
Yeah. But I've done it to people. I've done it to people. And, mate, I just feel... do you know what? You go out your way to help people and try and get people a better lifestyle and try and get people contacts, and you don't get a thank you. And it really, really annoys me. And it hurts.
You guys will throw up with this one, but I mentioned in the previous podcast, I lost my 2 best friends. Tony's funeral was 7 years ago yesterday. I have the trust that you've shown in me and that I reciprocate. Having 4 friends here, Mike, Stan, you 2, has been really important to me. And I think that should never lose that trust and that faith and the willingness to put your reputation in the hands of other people, because sometimes that really pays off in dividends. I think we should never lose that. Does
trust come in a dressing room when things are going well? Because I've been in dressing rooms when I've thought I've trusted people, but when things go bad, that's when the story's coming out. I remember signing for Derby. I signed for Derby, shocking team, wasn't it? They were bottom of the league, worst ever points tally in the Premier League. I signed as captain straight away, and then all of a sudden, I got on well with everybody. It was part of the dressing room, and then when it was got worse, and I was captain, and I wasn't part of the clique, the dressing room, stories were coming about. I bought a new car. Who does he think he is buying a new car? And I'm thinking, where do those stories come from? I had 10 years in the Premier League playing for Blackburn, Birmingham, Leicester, and I've got a Derby, and all of a sudden these stories start coming out about me. It was all me. Why is he driving around an X amount of pounds car? Why is he doing that?
I think occasionally Rob is misunderstood by people.
Yeah, but just
they get the wrong end of the stick because he's flamboyant and gregarious.
Here's one for you. I know we've done a friends one before, but how many real friends from your cricket? You think you've played with over 100 people? Matthew, in table tennis, and you've been around. Yep. I've played with over 100, 150 people. I would say in football, 99% are acquaintances.
Yeah, half a dozen for me.
Yeah, same. Yeah, you've met the ones I knock
up
with.
1%. Yeah. I can't even count on one hand real friends with footballers.
But do you know what? And also as well, though, do you know what I found? You know, some of the people that you thought would be, but never were. And then you get the odd surprise, like someone who you'd not necessarily get on with. But then all of a sudden, we'll give you a ring or send you a text to do something. Yeah. That's nice. But do you know how we were talking before about, I don't mind fearing failure. I don't mind failing at something as long as I try, and I don't want to look back when I'm older. Now, on this one, is it similar where I'd sooner be open and be let down rather than be closed all the time?
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
Because friendship's the best thing in life, and you can't ever have friendship if you aren't prepared to put your trust in another person.
We're not going back to the depression one, but the last couple of weeks, because he's been away, it's like, it's bizarre because, Matthew, you miss your friends when they're away, and because he's working so heavily, and, you know, obviously got Shane Stanley, Shane McClive, but it's bizarre when your friends go away and you can't speak to them, and, you know, he's in a part of his life at the minute where he's working so hard. It is hard. I have been a bit down recently. Do you know what I mean? Because because you know you can't explain it when your pals are away. They laugh.
I'm saying now what I do is I go away and I just get my head down.
Yeah.
And it's bizarre because I almost go into my shell, and it's weird. But that's me. I'm weird. I am weird.
I tell you what, you're horrible.
There's a bit going on, I tell you.
Brilliant, guys. Thank you. And thank you for listening. If you missed any of all the shows we've done today, they're available to download at the 5 Live website and all the usual podcast places. Please use the hashtag FredSavSide to get in touch through the week. If you could leave a review on iTunes and give us a rating, that would be great. We'll be back at the same time next week. But for now, from all of us, goodbye.
Flintoff, Savage and the Ping Pong Guy.
Thank you for downloading the Flintoff, Savage and the Ping Pong Guy podcast. If you like what you hear, then why not have a look at what else 5 Live podcasts have to offer at bbc.co.uk/5live.